Now to the Pentagon, where senior U.S. officials tell NBC News the Biden administration is increasingly concerned about the alliance between Russia and North Korea as the U.S. braces for potentially intensifying military actions from the countries ahead of the November election.
Katie, is a new world order taking shape?
So, yeah, I think the Chinese are setting up the new global world order that's going to rest on China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, whatever they can pick up in the BRICS and the global south, and then they'll reset the rules of the international rules-based order.
What has brought them together, quite frankly, it is what you're suggesting is a new world order.
Taiwan's Ministry of Defense is responding to a number of Chinese military drills carried out in their airspace. On social media, China says it's testing its ability to seize power. Taiwan claims 49 Chinese planes entered their airspace Thursday as nearly 20 warships were detected in the Taiwan Strait.
Officials are bracing for the possibility that North Korea could engage in more provocative military action than the U.S. and the world have seen in the last decade. This could be everything from more missile tests with demonstrating new advanced technologies to even another nuclear test. It would be their 7th under this regime, or the possibility of some sort of aggressive action against South Korea. They're bracing for this in part because it's an election year. During election years, historically, North Korea has conducted more provocative activity, but they are also looking at the fact that North Korea now has this increasing, strengthening relationship with Russia.
Australia has joined global condemnation of China's aggressive military response to the inauguration of Taiwan's new president.
5 Chinese military exercises around the main island, another 4 around Taiwan-controlled islands. Taipei scrambling its own jets in response. US, Japanese and Australian forces monitoring closely.
A delicate peace looks a little more fragile. The self-governed island has a new leader, one China sees as a reckless separatist. For 2 days, Beijing tried to show the world how it could and would wage and win a war here.
Preparing for a possible future confrontation with Taiwan, which China regards as a breakaway province, and has vowed to unify with the mainland.
Do you think conflict with China is a real possibility?
China is huge. Taiwan is just such a tiny place. One lake in China is 10 times bigger than Taiwan. Do you think this land is of any benefit to them?
But to Beijing, it is critical. Reunification inevitable. The latest drills, punishment for Taiwan talking about 2 separate countries.
Yeah, good afternoon, Simon. I mean, the South China Sea is at a crossroads, really, of 2 global maritime routes. It's a link between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. About a third of the global trade runs through this area. Also, in the South China Sea, there are massive oil and gas reserves. They've quoted that 11 billion barrels of oil are in there, and that, by reference, that's about 30 years of UK production. It's a huge amount. Now, China's been absolutely building artificial islands all over the place, militarizing them in trying to extend their influence there.
China's military released this chilling computer animation, a warning of what it could do. With the largest navy in the world, rockets rain down on Taiwan. We see the island surrounded on every side until it is taken. Taiwan has scrambled its military in response.
Do you think that Beijing is preparing for war?
Certainly, yes. China is preparing for war. Based on the number of military ships and the hiring of new recruits, it's all for self-defense and Taiwan.
You remember the last time they did these drills was back in August 2022 when Nancy Pelosi famously did that visit to Taiwan. But Xi Jinping has been hosting President Putin in a sort of state visit only last week. They've talked about their sort of limitless partnership. Now, Xi Jinping wants to change the world order, the US-led world order. That resonates with President Putin. And also, China's very interested in how Putin's getting on with the invasion of Ukraine.
We can reveal that we have evidence that Russia and China are collaborating on combat equipment for use in Ukraine. Now, let's not forget that China said, well, we're not going to help Russia kill Ukrainians. Well, it looks like they're doing exactly that. So they're helping them on the combat, so actually offensive attacks on Ukraine. We know that look, there's an axis now. You've got China, Iran, North Korea and Russia all working together.
What a terrifying axis that is.
Yeah, well, it's part of what you're talking about is this new global world order and the new Cold War, which is going to be led by China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran.
What do you make of 100 Chinese nationals trying to get into U.S. military bases, appearing as tourists and saying, hey, all have the same story? What is with that?
Yeah, it's like they're coming in through the doors and the walls and the crack in the floor. Yeah, the Chinese are clearly penetrating United States intelligence. I mean, it started with the spy balloon, probably started before that. They're looking at us from Cuba. They've got divers that are going off of U.S. naval installations. They've got tourists going into hotels that are near American military installations. I mean, they even have White House tours where Chinese tourists are, quote, getting lost and taking pictures of areas they're not supposed to take. I think a lot of this is just the whole Chinese approach to intelligence is hoover up as much as you can. We'll figure out what we'll use it for later. But yes, and it's also in your face. They're not even trying to disguise it.